everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm here doing the astrology insight for the week of September 14th through the 20th. We have a pretty busy week this week. So beginning the week on Monday, September 15th, we have Venus in Leo, sextile Mars in Libra. And then on Wednesday, September 17th, we have Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. And on Thursday, September 18th, we have Mercury's ingress into Libra, as well as Mercury trine Uranus. And then on Saturday, September 20th, we have Venus square Uranus. On Monday, September 15th, we have Venus in Leo, sextile Mars in Libra. So today can be a day for creative self-expression, artistic projects, or just feeling passionate about life. It is a sextile, so it doesn't mean that it's an extraordinarily potent energy that we have today, but it is there should you choose to take up the opportunity and embrace it. Now, the thing here is that Mars is in detriment in Libra, but Venus is the ruler of Libra. So there is a reception here between these two planets. So as Mars is in Libra, having an uncomfortable time performing for an audience, because Mars is all about itself. Mars is a very single-pointed focus of passion and energy, moving in a very direct movement and not necessarily caring what everybody else is doing. So when Mars is in Libra, forced to perform for an audience, forced to perform for other people, having to be aware that people are judging Mars, Mars gets uncomfortable. And that is where Venus comes in to help today, because Venus is in Leo, the sign of self-expression, curating our identity. And so as Venus is in that space, she's in a nice sextile to Mars, saying, put yourself out there, really show who you are and who you've become, because that is what Libra is all about. So today can be a fun day for creative expression. Like I said, it can be a wonderful day to just live passionately, make connections with other people, and so enjoy today. On Wednesday, September 17th, we have Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. And so today you may feel a little bit reserved with your words. You may feel a little shy, uncommunicative, perhaps skeptical of other people, because the situation here is that Mercury in Virgo is completely capable of solving every analytical, logical problem and organizing all things. But what Saturn has in Pisces that Mercury has to address is something Mercury doesn't like, because Mercury is in fall and detriment in Pisces, meaning Mercury doesn't understand the impressions and feelings, because those things you can't necessarily work out, make sense of fully and completely. It takes a lot of internal understanding to make sense of those feelings. And so what Saturn is doing is being a big weight and limitation on feeling unity and wholeness. And so Mercury can kind of feel like perhaps somebody's lying. Perhaps somebody's not showing their full deck of cards, because there's a heavy energy present and it needs to be addressed. And this isn't something that you can analytically or logically solve. You can only dissolve. And the way to dissolve it is to acknowledge those feelings, acknowledge those impressions that you're picking up on, and bring some light to them. Try to communicate about them, because that is what is need to happen today, because this can be an energy where it just feels like there's something going on, but I can't analytically and mentally figure it out, but I feel it. And because I feel it, I need to acknowledge it and try to do my best to make sense of how to communicate this thing. So if that happens to you today, just give yourself a moment to completely acknowledge what is that feeling you're picking up on that just feels like it's a weight, it's a limitation, it's something holding you back. Try to acknowledge that so that you can really just maybe write it out, maybe try to talk it out. These can be tricky things to deal with, but that is the energy that we are dealing with today. On Thursday, September 18th, we have Mercury's ingress into Libra at 5:05 a.m. Central Time, followed by Mercury trine Uranus in the afternoon. Now, while Mercury is in Libra, we need to make sure that we use our words consciously and that we don't just say things to please other people instead of saying what needs to be said. Mercury in Libra has a tendency to want to use the word to please people, to not shake up the airwaves, to not shake up the vibe. But that is where we need to be very conscious, because what is bringing balance? What is bringing harmony? Sometimes it's saying the things that are hard to say and that people don't want to hear, because you're rebalancing the scales. So while Mercury's in Libra, keep that in mind. Try to balance the scales and not just say things to please other people. Now we have a nice energy today between Mercury and Uranus, because Uranus is in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign. And so we have this ability today to really come up with ideas of how to connect people, how to balance situations, how to harmonize situations between people. Today is a great day for artistic activities and really trusting your intuition, because the air signs are all about connecting people, connecting ideas. That is where we do want to be aware that today can be a good day to really bring harmony and mediate situations, to have new ideas of how we could connect and bring people together. So those are some things we want to keep in mind today. On Saturday, September 20th, we have Venus in Virgo, square Uranus in Gemini. So today can be a day where you feel a little moody, a little sensitive, and maybe kind of self-focused, to be quite honest. Because as we have Venus in Virgo really saying, I know what I like what I like, keep your ideas over there, Uranus. I don't want any new ideas. I don't want any suggestions. That's kind of what the energy can be like today. But that's why it's going to be important for you to recognize when you are doing that. Where are you being very closed off, closed-minded, and unable to accept perhaps new ideas or things coming at you that people have to say? So be aware of that today, because Venus is actually in fall in Virgo, which means that Venus doesn't necessarily like Virgo. Venus is usually a very loving, caring, open, joyous planet, but when she's in Virgo, she's forced to really say, you can't have everything, Venus. You get to choose what you have, and really that's all you get to have. So while Venus is in Virgo, needing to make choices about what we have in our life, what we enjoy, we have this energy from Uranus, which is saying, here's all these new ideas that you've never even considered. Here's all this information that you can also consider, Venus. And Venus isn't necessarily happy in Gemini either. So this is a trickier day, like I said, where you might feel moody, you might feel overwhelmed, and you might just feel like you want to just be alone and you don't have time for many other things. If you'd like to schedule a personal reading, you can contact me at 11kaivarose33.com.